Hi, I'm Dennis Phillips, and welcome to Everyday Reloading and Shooting. All right, we're still working on seating depth for 223. And last week, I shot this target with rounds loaded at 120 and 125 thousandths off of the rifling. I had groups of 0.71 and 0.85 with mean radius of 0.21 and 0.25. And if you look at these two targets side by side, I was a little uncertain as to which one I would declare to be the best. Now at 120, I had all 10 rounds touching with a mean radius of 0.21. At 125 thousandths off the rifling, I had 8 out of 10 touching with 2 flyers. And if you take the 8 out of 10 and measure those, you've got a mean radius of 0.15. So maybe these two were just flyers. Maybe that's attributable to shooter error. So in order to actually verify which of these two is the best, I'm going to shoot two 20-round groups, and I'm going to measure those. And of course, it will need to be the mean radius, which will be the determining factor on that, because you could have one flyer on 20 shots that throws that group way off. But mean radius will give you a good idea of which one of these loads is performing the best. So stay tuned, and that will be coming up here shortly. All right, once again, we're at the Georgia Gun Club's 100-yard indoor rifle range. And as mentioned in the introduction, I wasn't quite sure on the two 10-shot groups that I shot exactly which one of those performed better, because there were pros and cons with both of those groups. So today what I'm going to do, as mentioned, is I'm going to shoot a 5-shot fouling group to make sure the scope is zeroed in. And then I'm going to shoot two 20-shot groups, and we're going to measure those with the Hornady Ballistics app to determine the mean radius. And whether we have a flyer or not on these is not going to be relevant, because with 20 shots, we're going to judge based on mean radius. Now, I will also say that the last time I shot, and I shouldn't be telling on myself here, but between the first 10 shots and the second 10 shots, I changed the rear rest setup on my rifle, and that may have had an impact on my shooting. I don't doubt that it did. So today, I've got a different rest. I was previously using these two bags. That's a rice-filled sock and a sock filled with lentils. And that's what I was using for support, but it didn't seem to be very stable. So I got another one. This is a t-shirt, a synthetic t-shirt. I cut the sleeve off of it, doubled it up, and filled this with lentils. Yet that gives me a much more solid base and a little more control over the aim. So that may account for this group being a little better than the last time out. Anyway, this is what we're going to be using. Also, I will add that I have added a M-Carbo spring kit for my trigger, and it has taken the trigger pull down from, I don't know what it was before, probably around 2 pounds or so, but it's way less than that now. I don't have a device to measure that with, but I can promise you I've got a very light trigger pull on this thing now. I'm guessing probably around a half a pound or so. I'll be measuring the velocities with my Garmin C1 Pro chronograph, and so we'll get back to you in just a little bit. As always, you're welcome to enjoy the music while I fast forward through my shooting, or you can skip forward to the results that follow. Shooting at 100 yards. These look very similar, so let's bring them in and take a closer look. All right, we have a really nice cluster here, slightly high and to the right, and a nice cluster here, slightly high and to the right. All shots are touching. The extreme spread from here to here, I imagine, is going to be about the same as the extreme spread from here to here. On the fouling shot, we had a nice cluster. These were shot at the 120 thousandths off of the rifling, 120 thousandths off the rifling here, 125 thousandths off the rifling here. Don't really see a lot of difference between the two, but we will take these home, measure these, and determine the mean radius and get back to you. I first shot a fouling group, and those were set at the 120 thousandths off of the rifling, the same as the first group. And I shot a 5-shot group with an extreme spread of 0.54. I had a mean radius of 0.20. And if you multiply the width times the height of the group, it covered an area of 0.21 inches. I didn't measure the velocity for those. The first group, where we're shooting at 120 thousandths seating depth off of the rifling, I shot 20 shots. We're shooting 0.6 inches high and 0.26 inches to the right. I had an extreme spread, and there was a flyer over here to the left, an extreme spread of 1.20, and I had a mean radius of 0.29, and we covered an area of the width times the height. The area was 0.97 inches. If you come over here to 125 thousandths off the rifling, we had a slightly better performance. We had an extreme spread of 1.07, identical mean radius at 0.29, but because we didn't have that flyer off to the side, we've got an area of 0.77. I'm going to have to say that these two seating depths are very similar in terms of performance. They both had a mean radius of 0.29, and this one only had an area of 0.97 because of this one flyer that we had off to the side, which enlarged the group. So all things considered, I'm going to have to say that the 1.25 off of the rifling produced the better results. So that's what I'm going to go with for future testing. If I should happen to get into any kind of competition with this load, that's what I'll be using. All right, so I hope you find this information helpful. And I'm going to say that 125 thousandths off of the rifling with 23 grains of CFE 223 is going to provide my best result. And it may very well work for you too. Okay, so those are my results. If you have any ideas, thoughts, suggestions, questions, please leave those in the comments below. I try to interact with everybody that comments. I hope you will like, share, and subscribe. And always, thanks for watching.
Seating depth will tune any load.